Emma Thompson, a 27-year-old graphic designer living alone in a quiet American suburb, had just settled into her new apartment. She had been working overtime on multiple client projects and barely had the time to go out shopping. After weeks of postponing, she finally placed a large order for electronics and household items she needed. She chose a delivery company that promised fast, safe, doorstep delivery. No stress. Everything seemed normal. She filled the form, paid, and received a confirmation message with a delivery time frame of 3 hours. Emma didn't think much about it. She cleaned her apartment, organized her workspace, and even took a nap. But one small detail would soon become the beginning of a long, frightening experience. The delivery man assigned to her order, Lucas, had already called her twice, asking unnecessary questions about her apartment, her exact floor, and whether she lived alone. Emma ignored the discomfort in her chest, assuming he was just trying to make the delivery easier. But this delivery, she would later learn, was anything but ordinary. 2 hours later, Emma heard her phone buzzing. She glanced at the screen, Lucas Delivery Company. She answered with a polite tone, expecting a standard "your package is here" update. Instead, Lucas asked her personal questions in a forced, casual tone. "So, you place a big order. You must stay alone, right?" he asked with a low laugh. Emma froze. She immediately felt uneasy and responded cautiously. "I don't discuss my living situation. Are you close to my building?" This time, Lucas sounded irritated, almost offended by her boundary. When Lucas finally arrived at the estate gate, the security guard noticed his strange behavior. He paced back and forth, looking nervous and scanning the surroundings like someone planning something. When asked to sign in, he avoided eye contact and gripped his phone tightly. His friend Michael, who was sitting on a motorcycle outside the gate, pretended to be unrelated but kept watching. Something was wrong, very wrong. When Lucas reached Emma's door, he knocked harder than necessary. Emma hesitated, remembering his unsettling questions earlier. When she opened the door slightly, Lucas tried stepping in immediately under the excuse of needing space to drop the items inside. Emma blocked the doorway politely but firmly. He sighed with irritation. "Relax now. I'm just doing my job," he muttered, forcing a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Emma took a deep breath and insisted he leave everything at the door, as she had requested in delivery form. For a moment, Lucas stared at her with an expression she couldn't interpret. Annoyance, frustration, something darker. Finally, he dropped the box roughly and walked away without saying a word. She didn't know that Lucas was messaging Michael at that very moment. She's alone. Emma placed her packages inside and locked the door. Her instincts told her something wasn't right. Meanwhile, Lucas returned to his motorcycle where Michael waited. They both kept glancing toward Emma's building from a distance, whispering and gesturing. Their plan was simple. Wait until late evening, return quietly, and take advantage of security shift change to force their way in. But they didn't know that someone else had noticed them. Brian, a neighbor who lived on the second floor, had seen Lucas knock earlier. Brian had spent years noticing suspicious activities and had a habit of observing people carefully. When he caught Lucas and Michael loitering unusually close to the building, whispering and staring upward, his instinct sharpened. Something wasn't right, and he decided to stay alert. As the sun disappeared in darkness built around the estate, Lucas and Michael returned, pretending to be regular cyclists passing through. They weren't. Their eyes were fixed on Emma's floor, waiting for an opportunity. They had studied the security pattern, a brief 10-minute window when the guards rotated shifts, the perfect time to slip in unnoticed. Inside her apartment, Emma finished a late dinner and curled up on her couch with a movie. The unsettling feeling from earlier lingered, but she brushed it aside. She didn't realize danger was already climbing her staircase, step by step. Lucas and Michael reached Emma's floor and paused. Lucas put his ear against her door, listening for movement. Michael pulled on gloves and whispered, "We go sharp, quiet." Lucas reached into his pocket and pulled out a metallic tool, a small lock-picking device. The hallway was silent, except for the faint clicking sound. But as Lucas bent toward the lock, a deep voice thundered behind them. "What are you doing there?" The two men jumped, spinning around to find Mr. Adewale, a respected, muscular resident known for insisting on night walks after dinner. His eyes narrowed, scanning the tools in Lucas's hand. Lucas stuttered an excuse that made no sense. The tension escalated quickly. Before Lucas could lie again, Brian suddenly stepped out from his own apartment. Having heard voices, he recognized Lucas immediately. "Weren't you the delivery guy from earlier?" Brian asked with a cold stare. Lucas panicked, stepping backward. Michael tugged at his sleeve, urging him to run. Mr. Adewale moved closer. "You're not going anywhere." His tone was low but powerful. Lucas tried to run, but Adewale grabbed him by the collar. Mr. Adewale took another slow, deliberate step toward them, the hallway lights catching the sharp angles of his powerful frame. His voice dropped into a calm but deadly register, the kind only a man used to being respected could carry. "You boys want to explain why you're touching a woman's door at this hour?" he asked, gaze locked on the tools Lucas tried to discreetly hide behind his thigh. The men felt the weight of his presence pressing heavily against them, silence thick in the corridor. Lucas stuttered, searching for a lie, while Michael's hands twitched, unsure whether to talk, fight, or flee. The corridor suddenly felt small, suffocating, inescapable. Lucas attempted a shaky smile. "Sir, we were just, helping a friend." His voice cracked under pressure. Mr. Adewale's eyes narrowed further, reading the fear, the guilt, the bad intention swimming behind their eyes. "Helping a friend," he repeated slowly. "With lockpicking tools?" His voice thundered down the hallway, echoing sharply. He raised his chin slightly, signaling to himself more than to them. He had lived long enough to recognize danger when he saw it. And these two were dangerous. Lucas glanced at Michael, silently begging him to speak, but Michael only exhaled, shoulders tightening. For a moment, none of them moved, until footsteps creaked from down the hall. From afar into the hallway, soft footsteps echoed, slow, hesitant, and curious. Mrs. Helena, the gentle but sharp-eyed elderly neighbor, peeked around the corner with her robe pulled tightly around her small frame. Her silver hair was wrapped in a night scarf, and her slippers brushed softly against the floor as she approached. "Is everything all right?" she asked, her voice trembling with concern. She caught sight of the tools in Lucas's hand and gasped quietly, her wrinkled fingers rising to her lips. In an instant, her expression shifted from curiosity to alarm. "Adewale, those boys, what are they doing with Emma's door?" Her voice carried down the hallway, louder than she intended, but loud enough. The tension in the air thickened, gripping everyone. The tension in the air thickened, gripping everyone. Michael's eyes darted between Mrs. Helena and the stairwell, calculating an escape route. Lucas swallowed hard, sweat sliding down his temple as Mr. Adewale took yet another step forward, blocking the only clear path. "No one is leaving until I call security," he said firmly, reaching for the phone in his pocket. Lucas's breath hitched. He knew what that meant. Arrest, exposure, ruined plans. His eyes widened and he took a half step back, bumping into the wall with a soft thud. Michael clenched his jaw, nostrils flaring. For the first time, the men realized they were not just caught. They were surrounded, outnumbered, and outmatched. Michael's breathing grew heavier, his chest rising and falling with a barely contained panic as he scanned the hallway once more. The flickering ceiling lights cast sharp, shifting shadows across his face, making his expression even more feral. "Lucas, we need to go," he muttered under his breath, voice low but urgent. Lucas shook his head violently, whispering back, "We can't. He's blocking the stairs." But the moment of hesitation weakened him, exposing the trembling in his hands. The tools he held clattered softly, the metallic sound slicing through the tense silence. Mrs. Helena flinched at the noise, instinctively stepping back behind Mr. Adewale for safety. Meanwhile, behind Emma's door, a faint movie soundtrack was still playing. She remained blissfully unaware of the danger inches away. Without warning, Michael made the first move. He lunged toward the opposite side of the corridor, hoping to slip past Adewale's reach. But Mr. Adewale reacted with the swiftness of someone who'd spent years disciplining unruly young men in the community. His hand shot out, grabbing the front of Michael's hoodie with a grip that felt like iron. Michael's feet scraped the floor as he struggled, but Adewale didn't budge. "You're not running anywhere tonight," Adewale growled, pulling Michael back with ease. Lucas, seeing his partner trapped, panicked completely. He dropped the tools, metallic clinks echoing sharply, and raised his hands in surrender, fear washing over him. For the first time, he understood this was spiraling far beyond what they planned. Security arrived quickly and detained both Lucas and Michael while calling the police. Emma provided her statement, shaking but grateful. Brian, Mrs. Helena, and Mr. Adewale stayed with her the entire time, reassuring her that she wasn't alone. For the first time that night, Emma felt safe. The delivery company later contacted her to apologize, explaining that Lucas and Michael weren't even scheduled to work that late. They had taken advantage of a system loophole. The company tightened its security measures afterward, but Emma's story became a warning that spread across the neighborhood. Always be alert. Not every delivery man comes with good intentions. Emma couldn't sleep that night, but by morning, the shock had turned into determination. She recorded a short video explaining what happened and shared online. Not to scare people, but to warn them. "Watch this before booking a delivery man," she said into the camera. "Learn from me. Stay alert. Trust your instincts." Her video went viral. Thousands of women messaged her, thanking her for speaking up. Parents shared it with their daughters. Security professionals reposted it. Emma realized that her frightening experience had turned into a powerful lesson that could save someone else. And in that realization, she found strength.